Hi, everyone. I have this amazing human being who meant a lot to me when we've been studying at Buckingham University together, masters in lean enterprise. We somehow clicked, even though Jan is a very peaceful human being, very intelligent and very grounded, and I can be highly dynamic, uncontrollable. and and yeah, but at the same time we kind of found the ground together. So Jan, welcome to the CEO World Record. It's an honor having you.
Thank you very much, Laura, for having me. And it's really nice to see each other again and talk to each other again. And I would love to help with achieving the world record and share my thoughts about my work and about how I look to organizations and how I look to leadership, etc. So thanks for having me.
You're such a you're a book of wisdom, and there is just so much advice is always outpouring from you, and I love how mindful you are at things. So Jan, let's go ahead and kind of unfold the colors of your personality and the experience and how you see the world. Could you share with me the biggest events of your life that truly shifted you as a human being who you are today? um, and yeah, maybe elaborate how did that actually changed you from how you've been and how you are today as a leader, as a human.
Well, besides marrying Diana and having my children, that was life changing. And well, I love them today. For my work, um, you told the attendees in your introduction the Master of Science in Buckingham. And what was life changing for me was the holistic view to organizations, to leadership. And for myself, my dissertation, what I did for the Buckingham University, and the topic was which management accounting figures does support system thinking in service organization. And it really changed my life actually to look at organizations like that. Most of them are guided with production figures or performance figures, etc., instead of looking why is an organization there. And I'm 5 years further now in my life with all that knowledge. And I really appreciate it. And I have wonderful thoughts and conversations with people. And a part of my job that I do for my own small company is to guide students on a younger age, in the age of 19, 20, 21, who are starting their working career. And I try to share my enthusiasm and my knowledge about this topic. And it's really wonderful for me to see them being successful, having conversations with their managers, with their leaders, with another view. Yeah, it's really nice. So a lot of words on your first question.
Amazing. And Jan, I know that before your endeavor as consultant, and I mean, you worked as a leader of one or even a couple of companies, I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
and then you moved in the consultancy, and now you are kind of curating your own impact-driven company. And throughout the journey, I'm sure that you've seen so many various industries, and you've seen certain conversations, and you've been like, either observer of these conversations or maybe even a part of that. Where and when did you feel maybe inner conflict in those conversations that that truly made you think and raise other type of questions? Could you share that?
Yeah, sure. Well, in most organizations, as I shared before, production figures, sales figures were leading. And what I saw was that doesn't lead to achieve the breakthroughs that the companies really want to achieve. If the only focus is we want to have sales, um, well, it's kind of interesting because they're kind of a bottleneck for the sales themselves because they can't organize it afterwards to create it. And in my view, with all the knowledge that I've gained at the university and also in my work, organizations are separated in silos, departments, not collaborating on the same goal. They all want to achieve their goal for their department. And another thing that I mentioned was that the people who are actually have to do the job, they don't have an intrinsic motivation actually to achieve their sales target or production target, because that's not the purpose of many organizations, only to sell or only to produce. There's another need behind it. And then I mentioned, well, I have to ask other questions. For example, in healthcare, it's not about production figures. It's about caregiving and how does the patient feel the way he's treated. And that you need to ask other questions on the people who work there, to the managers, to the leaders, to give them the real understanding why an organization is there. For example, in the Netherlands, insurance companies are seen as customers for an hospital. But that's strange in my opinion, because if you look to an hospital, hopefully you and me are seen as customers who need health and who need care. It's not the insurance company who is paying for you and me. You know? So that was really time for me to ask other questions. Why are you doing it? Is that the purpose of your organization? Are measures close to the purpose of your organization? And is the method aligned to achieve what you have promised?
I can
And in
totally.
most, sorry.
No, I just mean I can totally associate with that. But continue, Jan.
Yeah, what I've seen was after my study at the University in Buckingham, I followed a study at Nijrode to understand financial figures, how CEOs and CFOs made their decision based on traditional bookkeeping. And it was really interesting for me because they see all the ratios about cash flow, etc. But they, in most cases, they don't understand the real work or the real demand, or it became actually a de facto purpose for an organization to achieve a financial healthy organization. Nothing wrong with that, but there's another purpose for organizations. So I think you have to achieve both in the right balance.
Absolutely. And I am
Yeah.
such a big believer that once we think big enough, like really, really bold
Mm-hmm.
and big enough, it is far easier to attract right sales or right clients, right talents, right
Sure.
investors, right suppliers, because people, they are longing to belong to something bigger, and
Mm-hmm.
they wanna be a part of a meaningful ecosystem rather than money kind of produced and only. And yeah, and I can only reflect back that when we've studied, and it was probably in 2000s, I mean, even before the studies in 2015, that's where I had the major inner conflict, seeing that with all the work we do, I mean, nothing is changing at the paradigm kind of level, and
Sure.
everything stays the same. It's just that, more and more tools, more and more wrong kind of practices are placed on the shoulders of people. And then it's easier and easier for managers to, to control them top down as if they would have a remote control through a toolbox. And when we started studying at Buckingham University, and we truly kind of immersed into the systems thinking and been studying those brilliant organizations for days and months, there was
Hmm.
a moment when I came back to Vilma, back from UK to Lithuania, and I reflected to Vilma, my partner, that, gosh, I have no idea how we gonna pull this thing out now with the knowledge I've got and with the answers I'm receiving, the depth of layers and layers of why beneath another why, and then you suddenly understand that it's 100+ years, if not even
Yeah,
more, like a baggage we're carrying, which is social, economical, spiritual, based on privilege, based on titles. And then, it's like, I remember the moment when I felt that, that I'm nearly giving that up. And then I thought, I just
hmm,
can't, I just simply can't. And there should be a way to move forward. So this is the reason why I asked about your inner conflicts, because I know that there are many of us catalysts and change makers, who are doing our best, right? But
sure,
it is sometimes really, really tough to be that one kind of paradigm shaker, and normally there it takes time before
sure.
results come. Yeah. And
Yeah, sorry, go on, go on.
no, go on again.
Oh well, um, I I recognize what you told and what you say, and I have a strong belief because I have experience with it. I was honored to guide a director of a food company, and his thought was if we achieve customer satisfaction, so do what we promised to do, and only that, um, employee satisfaction increased as well, because they were all there for the customer, making healthy food in the way that they promised. They really doubled the turnover in 3 years' time, and they grow almost automatically with a very, very financial healthy organization. So it's not only for me in theory or in articles or in stories. And I work with him for 9 years now in three several companies. And we achieved twice the same result and are heading now for the third one. And therefore, I really enjoyed it to guide younger people who are studying business administration, for example, to share my knowledge about that. And what you mentioned, Jet, was we have to crack the paradigms for managers and directors. So that's the story that I tell to my students who are 18, 19 years old, to say, well, let's focus on quality, focus on the purpose for your organization, and all the rest, it takes time and it takes a while. The only thing is crack the paradigms from your manager, have a
Mm.
chat with them, and tell them what the consequences are if they use other figures like sales, production, etc. What happened with quality? So see it from a bigger picture, in smaller companies, in bigger companies, but also how it's arranged in supply chain environments, for example. Yeah, it's quite interesting, and I really enjoyed it to see them having fun in discussions with their managers. Yeah, it's good, I
Oh,
think, but it takes a while.
yeah, it takes a while, but I really believe in our young generation, because
Hmm.
they're so brave, and they're not pleasing us. They are not
No,
trying to tell us something that to be acknowledged. They literally just say out loudly and in the most direct and loving way, respectful way, and
yeah,
that's what we need, right? To wake up
sure.
as well and hear that. Just so many reflections coming to my mind, Jan. But where I want to take us, I want to take us to the boardroom,
Hmm.
or the leadership team. It can be small, it can be a bigger company. It doesn't really matter. But what I've noticed as a pattern now, speaking with 40 plus people on this 7 or 6 week short intensive interview marathon, it is that everyone is sharing that once they are in silence, anchored to the truth, anchored to the purpose, they're very clear about their choices.
Hmm.
But there is something happening. What I'm noticing is, maybe it's my bias. I want to test that out. What I've noticed as a consultant, as the catalyzer, that something is happening when suddenly we are in a taking the seat in a boardroom, taking the seat in the executive leadership team. We have some type of session. It can be strategic session, it can be any type of session, and that growth at any cost, it kicks in. It just kicks in uncontrollable, because it's just ingrained in us.
Hmm.
Our business was always a pinnacle, and growth was a pinnacle rather than humanity, the planet, the healthy kind of way of living. And something happens to those brave people who are like really wise, and they keep silent. They kind of nod their heads, but internally they have a
Yeah.
huge internal conflict.
Hmm.
And it happens so that most of my clients are men, for one or another reason. And I know when we reflect what it does to their health, what it does to their families,
Mm.
and etc. But my question is, like, what do you think, like, what is needed for that person, so he or she could, at the moment where we have this collective table of wise people sitting, and when the growth at any cost ideas are kicking in, that he or she doesn't sit silent, and they can be that voice for all of us and stop that nonsense. What do you think is needed for that to be
Well,
manifesting?
yeah, well, a lot of things are popping up now. First of all, growth for an organization is not the only thing that they have to achieve, because there are also already existing customers, which you promised your existing customers already things. So if more is coming up, the demand increase. Well, it's not for sure that you can serve your existing customers with the things that you promised. So be careful with growth. Um, uh, in my opinion, in my experience, service level decreases actually if growth goes up. So nothing wrong with growth, but that's not the only thing. You have to measure other things like customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, service level, quality, etc. And the other thing for personal is, I think board members don't always speak up completely. In my experience, of course, I was scared to make decisions. People were looking at me and thought that I have all the answers. Well, I don't have them. I have almost 52 years experience in life, but I don't know how it looks like if I'm becoming 53 or 55. I don't know. So I'm not for sure. I'm not sure with all the decisions that I made if it's the right decision, right? So um, I think one of the important things, and I do it myself, to be vulnerable, to show them that you're a human as well, and to discuss it, that you don't know things for sure, but it helps to tell them that you have to do experiments and to investigate it together, to understand how the work is done, if you're doing the right things, together with your employees, and do it. I already mentioned it, together, not break decision making and work in separate parts. So if board members speak up completely, show that they are humans, together with their employees, and try to investigate what the best way is to do the work, related to the purpose of your organization, related to what you've promised the customers. In my opinion, that's a way to become a successful and to have a successful company together with your customers.
I
That's
love
how I
that.
look to the world.
Yeah, I love
And
that
then
thought.
yeah, and then financial results, that is a result from the things to be good for your clients, to be good for your employees, to be good for yourself. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's just the result of all of your decisions that
it
are
is.
or not aligned with you, who you are as a human
Yeah,
being.
yeah. And
And I
in
often,
the Netherlands, it's really common to say, well, you did it wrong, right? In my view, there's nothing wrong. You made a decision and it went in another way that you wanted it to be. It's not
Mm,
per se wrong.
mm,
You learned something. It's better to talk about what you have learned and make another decision. And hopefully it went well. You don't know. We all don't know. We give our best shot and we give our best try. So that's one of the things that I read in all the literature.
mm.
Fail fast, learn faster. But it takes courage from board members to do that.
Yeah, it takes courage
It's
to be
a kind of a
vulnerable.
paradigm that,
Mhm.
yes, it's kind of don't know, kind of behavior that you can make mistakes as board member. But
Mhm.
why not? Yeah,
Yeah, and
we're only
that's,
human. So
yeah, we're only human, and this is what I'm so curious about. And that's one of the reasons why we curate this longitudinal world record. It is that we want to rewrite the narrative and the stories and the conversation, not only in the boardrooms, but in the ecosystems and across the
yeah.
industries. And I always question myself, like, I mean, especially when I am in those kind of situations where someone is paying me salary, someone is paying me, an hourly rate, and I am here to deliver the expectations, the aligned kind of process we agreed on. And I always question myself how I would behave now if no one
Hmm.
judged me.
Yeah.
No one judged me how I would behave. Would I sit silent and wait? Or would I
Hmm.
just stand tall in my values and I will not please anyone around? And I will just say loudly where we are with the our values, or the inner conflict where I am and how
Hmm.
I perceive this company, and etc. And that question helps me a lot
Yeah.
in those situations. But as you say, it truly takes courage for that person to truly be that paradigm shaker. But at the same time, I as well have such a strong belief, and I've saw it over and over with so many pioneers in the world, that it takes one to start the change. And when you are so obsessed and so aligned, like truly truly aligned with the at the core of your body, that that's what you are aiming for, and that's bigger than your lifetime. I mean, people will follow you, and the
Hmm.
right people will follow you, and you are not here to be a people pleaser, not as a leader. So
No.
yeah, so I that's what I want to see, rewritten narratives and dialogues in those settings.
Yeah.
And
It sounds. Oh, sorry. Go on, Laura. Sorry.
no, is reflect back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, um, it sounds really easy what I'm going to tell you, but I think, in my opinion, it's necessary to create trust and openness as a board member in the boardroom as well, but also for managers, team leaders, employees, etc. Um, so that's really one sentence: create trust and openness, right? But I think we need to create an environment that employees even if it's a manager or a board member, can say what they say and can ask what they ask, dare to be critical, um, but remember with the best intentions. And I'm almost 52, and I never seen an employee who is sabotaging things.
Mm.
They all have the best intentions to do their job, and they find creative ways to do it the best ways during the circumstances that they have, but all with the best intentions. And I think it takes courage for board members as well to listen to them and to understand that employees have the best intentions with the customers, with the organizations, with themselves, with the colleagues, to make the world a bit better. And we don't want only to listen to a board member who says, well, we go left. All right, let's go left. No, I think, and especially younger people are more critical, dare to ask many more questions that I did at my primary school. And try to be critical with the best intentions. I say, well, did you think about that? Or did you think about that? And yeah, I think we have a task as board members to create an environment like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so as well. And be brave to, to tap into ourselves and do the
Yeah.
proper inner work, because everything like from inwards goes outwards, not the other way around. And I
No.
have a couple of last questions, Jan.
Sure.
Let's unfold the world record question and answer this one, the one related to your company and your business endeavor. So, how is the world better off because your company is in it?
Well, I was a bit prepared for this question, but I think my small company, I guide as a people person, younger students, to look critical with the best intentions to their work, to their first work environment. And I try to let them ask questions to their team leaders, managers, to wonder themselves about how the work is done, how they are measured. Does it feel good or not? If not, please go to your manager, have a discussion with him, and see it as traveling the world. And that's why I share my knowledge with them, make them enthusiast about looking with an holistic view to their organizations to make the world a bit better every day, step by step. Because they have to work in the Netherlands, for example, till they're 68 years old. So if they are starting with 18, 19, they have 50 years from now to make the world a bit better. So I think the world's better off because I guide for almost 20 people now. Um, and well, if those 20 people are making the world a bit better step by step, and their companies and they get their colleagues enthusiastic, I think we have, yeah, kind of a better organizations in a few years, hopefully, and about other thoughts about collaborating together to achieve the purpose of a health organization or an industry company or a high school or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's fun actually to do.
I love seeing that you are smiling and you are so anchored to that purpose of yours. I believe it means a lot to each of us to know our roles and to choose those
Yeah.
wisely, because we can become so bigger and bolder once we step into that, right? And the last question, Jan. Now, speaking about different practices or rituals, because in business and in life, we know that we are the product of our habitual, habits, of our thinking, of our disciplines. And I often wonder, and I raise this question myself, if there was zero books of classical management, of top-down management, if we didn't know that the org charts top-down existed, if we didn't know that red and green KPIs existed, all of that, let's say, knowledge, let's delete that for a moment. And we only think about this big, audacious impact of ours and full alignment with who we are, with our values. What does it take then, a company or the ecosystem, from practices, new maybe emerging practices, to be daily impact driven, to be daily kind of, breathing that oneness, if we didn't know all of that bullshit before? So what new business practices maybe are coming to your head that are not yet written in the books, that we are not speaking about because it's taboo?
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of things that I want I want to share, but
Go ahead.
I like to make it simple, right? So if there weren't any books or literature or schools who are telling me the old stories about management, um, I think we listen better to what people tell us and what they ask us. And I think it makes a lot easier for us to understand what our purpose is from the company, yeah, for companies or for organizations. And in my view, we are not colored by anything. So if we listen carefully and do what we promise and do what's asked, then it doesn't have to be as complex as today, in my view. But on the other hand, and I'm going to smile a bit, I think we go back for more than 100 years, because it wasn't that difficult as today. Actually, we didn't have managers in the Middle Ages. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I think so. Every village shared their things together to live an happy life. And well, especially for example, my kids don't need a manager. They grow up. They are investigating things, learning things, ask me things sometimes to guide them, and I try to do the best that I can. But yeah, well, let's make it a bit simpler than today. Yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
we yeah, well, we are. I think we are successful in making things so complex, and hopefully my students are doing that better, make it easier for themselves and for the customers and for their colleagues, to that they can do what they choose to do with an intrinsic motivation, not bothered by rules or playbooks, or they have the knowledge to do it, and if they don't have it, they can ask someone else to share their knowledge and to learn from each other and try to find the best way together. We as humans can do that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and you are most likely really, really right. And I'm getting curious, like why we are as human beings making things so complex. What are fears that are driving us? Like, what
Yeah.
is it?
Well, I think it's about, in my view, it's about control. You want to be in control, not losing things, or I don't know. I think that's the point. Or we want to be, maybe capitalism could play a role in this as well.
Hmm.
I think there are several reasons actually, or being better than someone else. But well, im- yeah, it's not important for me.
Mm, yeah.
Um, no, I can. I think. Well, I think the success for my company is to share knowledge, to share enthusiasm, to share my practices, etc. makes other people better to understand the work and to understand the organization. And that's why I'm satisfied every day, actually, to see others grow. And I try to achieve that same behavior as a leader for the company I work for. Be satisfied if someone else is growing. That makes my success. I do the same with my children. So
Mm.
don't be scared. You're not in control in life, even if you think so. You're not in control. No,
This is epic.
no,
Epic. Thank
yeah.
you so much. It's such a privilege having always a human being who, I mean, to me, a true human being who doesn't wear any mask, who is
Mm.
vulnerable and brave, and is just, here for amplifying the impact. Thank you. It's such an honor to onboard you.
It it was an honor to have to see you again and to talk to each other and discuss about these topics. It's really nice. Yeah.
Thank you.